Hi everyone, let's talk a little bit about storyboarding. Megan, when and if do you use storyboards?
I use storyboards all the time. Storyboards are a great tool to map out either an experience that you want to create or an experience that you're imagining, to put it back in front of users to validate whether the needs that you're expressing in the storyboard actually exist.
Okay, but at the most fundamental level, right now what we're seeing on our screen is a series of, let's say, 6 ultimate frames that you could tell. So is a storyboard your whole experience with someone? Is it just a little bit? Is it the big idea? Is it all the small ideas? When and if do you use a storyboard?
Have you ever seen a storyboard for a movie? It doesn't have every single frame from the entire movie in it. It just kind of has the key moments in the story that kind of creates the whole story in one place that you can look at as a series of frames. When we think about storyboards, we're really trying to think about what are those key moments in the experience that we want to articulate on our board so that users, our teams can look at it and react.
Well said. I really like your framing around this idea of key moments, milestones, or ideas in an experience. And so if I think about maybe an experience like ordering food, I'm thinking maybe my first frame is I'm hungry.
Sure.
My next frame is I go to Google or Yelp or I find it on my phone. How do I know what goes in every frame?
It's a good question. You know, when we are collaborating with other people, you and I may decide that there's a different frame too. And the beauty of these tools is that we can put it on there and then negotiate those differences as we're meeting with each other and talk about what makes the most sense for our story.
Okay, interesting. And now I've heard, Megan, that there's some science around the idea of thinking independently and then collaborating collectively once you've already done your own individual thinking. Are storyboards, and in general, maybe these templates, are they better to start as an individual? Should I jump right in as a group? Do you have any guidance for us?
I tend to allow people to work individually for a few minutes before sharing with the group. Sometimes that helps those of us who are more introverted to get our thoughts out of our head, orient ourselves, and then be prepared to come back and share out after we've had the opportunity to do that.
Okay, great. What I really love about what you're saying, because I appreciate to work a little independently and organize my thoughts first, is that I could also then see if I'm thinking about the problem the same way you're thinking about the problem. Fair enough?
That's right.
Okay, great. All right, well, let's orient everybody to the template and the pattern we have here for storyboards. As Megan has already pointed out, we have an instruction section on the left-hand side. The instruction section starts by ultimately narrating and organizing around a basic story. This could be done literally on the back of a napkin or written down on the wall. Of course, you could use the value of Miro and of course take notes right here in our digital whiteboard. Then we're gonna add in other types of illustrations, graphics, icons, and emojis in order to bring a layer of context in order to our experience. So I'm gonna start on my left-hand side and get oriented. At any point in time, you can also move into the right-hand side and evaluate our simple to understand experience about ordering pizza as an example. Now, what you'll notice here, Megan, is I am not exactly a world-renowned artist. Do I need to have really pretty, well-illustrated pictures?
No, I think the quicker the better. And so spending a lot of time thinking about whether or not this looks really good is not the purpose of this kind of storyboard. It's really about getting the key moments in the journey out of your head and onto paper.
Megan, I love your point about key moments. And in fact, what I love about digital tools like this is I can now use the entirety of the internet for anything that is allowing me to repurpose their image in the exact frame that I want. And I no longer have to know how to draw necessarily a slice of pizza, an automobile, a mobile phone, a clock, or even a car.
Exactly.
So if we move past our example in the instructions, we have to, of course, get to the actual work. The actual work occurs in each one of these frames. Now, Megan, what's interesting is we've provided here 4 separate storyboards. Is it common to do one storyboard or multiple storyboards?
If you're working as a team, you may want to use multiple storyboards to figure out which one or which combination of storyboards is the right storyboard. Once you've aligned on some of those ideas, you may choose to have one storyboard to express your idea or a couple of storyboards because you're interested in understanding which storyboard is better.
Well said. Okay, so there's a couple of reasons why I should have multiple storyboards. The first is I would like different points of view, a 360-degree angle. The second trick and tool that I always use is I think back to my stakeholder map, another pattern and template we've provided in the strategic design kit. Sometimes I'll build specific point of views based on my key stakeholders against each one of these storyboards. Now, here's another question. We have 6 frames here, Megan. Is that my limit that I'm allowed to have? Is that the minimum I need to have? How many frames should I be filling in per story?
Well, you don't need to have only 6 frames. You could have fewer than 6 frames. You could have a few more than 6 frames. But what we don't want is for you to have 35 frames.
But why not?
the goal is not to map out the entire story or to make like a flip book movie. It's just to express those sort of key points along the journey that you think are important for people to see and know about.
Yeah, well said. The other thing I like to point out for a storyboard, Megan, I don't know if you would agree with this, is a storyboard oftentimes allows business communicators and strategy communicators to get their ideas out, even if they don't know exactly how to write the code or push the pixels. Has that been your experience as well?
Yeah, I think so. It helps a lot of different people communicate in the same format.
Well said. So, instructions on your left, examples on your top right, and always a shortcut back to our hub in order to keep going. Please start to explore these storyboards. Find a path that allows you to communicate even early stage stories to a very, very broad set of your very own stakeholders. This exercise may feel a little daunting, but like Megan said, have fun. Start with a story or a ritual you do every day. Packing maybe a child's lunch, planning a vacation. Understand the steps that are involved for something that you understand intimately well and familiar, and it doesn't have to be the exact same reason or purpose you would use a storyboard in your day-to-day life. So even if you're designing a complex healthcare application, start with designing something you know. Get in the habit of putting your thoughts out there, experiencing critique and talking about your idea and communicating with this as the backdrop. And of course, let us know how it goes. We'll see you at the next video.